Start this off right.
I'd like to introduce you to the Church of Beers. When you listen to our program, you can leave your hopes and fears. We'll have a beer together, maybe a laugh or two. Church of Beers is just a place for people just like you. I'd like to welcome you to the Church of Beers. I'd like to welcome you to the Church of Beers. I'd like to welcome you to the Church of Beers. Let's all say cheers. At the Church of Beers.
Welcome to the Church of Beers, a show about craft brews and people, where we use craft beer as lubrication for our conversation. Today, I am in Wappinger Falls, New York, at Cousin's Ale Works.
Yes.
And I was fortunate enough to be graced with the head brewer and owner of this wonderful establishment, Aaron Browne.
Yeah, how are you? How you
Good,
doing?
Good, man. Good. Thank you. Kind of excited because this is actually when I started doing this podcast. I really love craft beer, but I hadn't actually had a chance to really sit down and talk to any brewers. Okay. So I have from when I first started this, I just sat down with my friends and stuff like that. But now I have all these brewing questions and stuff. So
I'll answer them to the best of my abilities.
Of course. I actually met Aaron on one day I was up here just visiting up on a Sunday. I just had to get out the city, and I was just I want to just see green and blue skies and not smell smog for a change.
Yeah.
If anybody hears loud noises in the background, and this one we're recording in the brewery itself. Yeah. So we're going to swallow these mics a lot to try to get the background sound out of it. But anyway, I'm going to get right into it. The first thing that I guess I'll do is start with the first beer. I brought one up from the Bronx as a kind of like a thank you for having us up here. This is from Gun Hill Brewery, and it's Super Supreme, a Belgian style quadruple, and it says brewed with Concord grape juice, fig juice, and grains of paradise. I don't know what that is. You ever heard of grains of paradise?
I've heard of them. I've never used them. Only thing I could think of is a really nice island somewhere.
I guess so. And this is going to be 11.1% ABV.
Oof.
So this is a...
It's a good way to start off.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I said lubrication for the conversation. All right.
Should be a nice dark brown. Yep. Almost. Probably have some raisin notes in there, I would say.
There you go, fine, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. It's almost no carbonation in this thing.
Yeah, no, very low. I actually prefer beer to be very low in carbonation. So.
I do too. Less, less
I get less
gut
indigestion,
issues, I think.
Indigestion,
less indigestion,
acid reflux from it.
Yeah, I get acid reflux problems too, so I do smell the raisins.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah, cheers. I'd like to do cheers in a different language each day. This one, German is also Dutch.
You got Dutch does Prost or Prost,
Yeah, so I'll just say that. Prost.
Yeah, Prost.
Wow. This is like a meal.
Yeah.
This is like a meal. This is like...
this is very sweet, very good.
It's very sweet. It's sweeter than I thought.
Would you say there's grapefruit juice in this?
I think it's a Concord grape.
Concord grape.
Yeah.
I definitely get the grapes in there.
Yeah.
That's what all that sweetness, that residual sweetness in there is from.
This, I originally was going to bring that stout to you that they had, but your wife got it before I did.
Yes, she did, yeah.
So I was like, oh, man. Yep. They're like a mile away from my house.
Yeah, she works right up the road. I don't know how far away it is, but she said it took her about 15 minutes to get there.
Okay.
And she was going to buy me one bottle, ended up coming home with 2 4-packs and 3 bottles of beer. Because
nice.
It took her so long to find it.
Now, how is that you're a brewer, but then, here you are getting stuff from other people. Do you get inspired by, getting stuff from other small batch breweries?
Absolutely. One of my things before I opened the brewery I got really excited about doing was traveling around and hitting up other breweries and just seeing their equipment and seeing how they run their tasting rooms. Gun Hill Brewery was one of my first stops.
Oh, wow.
At checking out other local breweries. I loved it. I love what they did. I love the decor in there, the whole revolutionary
Yeah, you guys have that same kind of feel here at Cousins Ale Works.
Yep, we bring a little bit of a revolutionary feel into the space. And their beers are always right on point, and just really enjoyed it. And it just kind of spearheaded my love for stouts. That's where I got that idea from.
Nice. I love that, by the way. I love both of the way you guys have your setups is very patriotic.
Yeah.
Very American history based. I love American history, and I'm a very big patriot. Not a Patriots fan. No. But I'm a very big patriot. I really do appreciate when people remind us of our past and how, where we came from.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to bring any. This is not a politic bar. This is a come in, see a little bit of history on the walls, see where I started from. I got kind of like a history of my original labels when I was selling out of my garage to my labels nowadays that I use on the cans and the bottles. So I try to keep a little bit of history in here, and this area is so rich with history of the Revolutionary War. That's why I brought this into it.
Gotcha.
I just love the feel of it.
Well, you talk about history. I want to get back into your past a little bit. So one of the first questions I had for you was, what did you do for a living prior to becoming a brewer and opening in your own brewery?
Well, I was kind of going down the path of getting into law enforcement a little bit, and I went into corrections. And I was working in corrections for almost 15 years. But during that time, I fell in love with the craft of beer. Probably early 2000, I'd say 2001 maybe, is when I first started really enjoying beer and getting into craft beer. And it just kind of swallowed me whole. And
I didn't even get into craft beer in 2001. I think it had to be much later.
Yeah,
the first craft beer I think I really had was like a Brooklyn brewery.
Okay.
Like their original IPA.
Yeah.
People were like, what the hell's an IPA?
Yeah, nobody knew what it was. And that's kind of what happened. Halftime opened up in Poughkeepsie, I think 2000 or 2001. I walked in there just to see what it was all about, and I had 1,500 different styles of beer, and I'd never even known there was more than 5 at that time.
Right. It was like, Bud, Miller Lite, Sam Adams.
Sam Adams and Sierra Nevada were the 2 craft beers that I knew of at the time. And I walked in that store and was just like, holy crap. Like, what is all this?
Yeah.
My very first beer was Mendocino Valley, or not first beer, but my first craft beer was Mendocino Valley, their Red Tail Ale. And then that just kind of spiraled from there. I went into IPAs, stouts, and I just really fell in love with stouts and porters.
Yeah, I love stouts.
Belgians.
Belgians are. This is the stuff that the monks used to make, right?
Yeah. Belgian beers they made them because that was their food source. They're so loaded with gluten. They're so loaded with all sorts of nutrients. Even though it's beer, there's a lot of vitamins and a lot of positive stuff in beer for people.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So you too can fast like a monk.
Yes.
And then when they would fast, they would be allotted a certain amount of beer, I think, a day.
Yep.
And so they were making their stuff as strong as they could with as much what's the word I'm looking for?
Viscosity or body to the beer.
A lot of body, yeah.
Like, this isn't even the thickest quad I've ever had, but it's very thick. It's got a good body to it.
Yeah.
And that's what I fell in love with, just the idea that back in those times, revolutionary times, again, bringing up the revolutionary period, Washington and Franklin, all them, they all made their own beer. That's what they fed their troops. They didn't have any food to feed the troops,
right.
So they fed them beer. And that kind of is where I fell in love with it. And
that's awesome. So you were a cop before, or were you?
No, I was going for the state troopers. I was going into local PDs and stuff like that, and I was taking all the tests for it. I just kind of went into corrections because I had kids on the way, and I think it was a solid job.
Kids, man, they make everything change.
Yeah, no. Once they came into the picture, that's when I was like, all right, I got to find something instead of working, a 9 to 5 that was paying me nothing. I went into corrections. I did it for 15 years, and it just got to the point where it was just too much mental and physical. It was just taking a beating on my body, and then I had this kind of in the backdrop of loving the passion and having passion for home brewing, and I just took a leap of faith.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's really awesome. Yeah. It's an awesome story because, I always wonder when I see, like, I meet these guys that are brewers and stuff. I'm like, I wonder what you did before this. Like, and then you open your own business. I mean, I could imagine any business, brewery and / kind of like restaurant. You guys serve food here as well.
Yeah. No,
It's a big leap.
It was, for lack of a better term, it was pretty ballsy. I was scared doing it because I'm coming from, I have a guaranteed paycheck every week.
Right.
To now I've got to make my paycheck every week. But I love what I do. I think that shines through into my beers. I think that shines through into what I bring into the brewery. I try to make this a fun, inviting environment for everything from kids to dogs, and
Yeah, well, I got my dog Cassie sitting here on the floor.
Yeah,
she's hanging out. I met Porter.
Porter is here. He's in timeout right now.
That's an awesome dog. I like him.
Oh, he's a great dog.
He's a good puppy. He's like he's like the dog you want to take hiking.
He loves to hike, and you can't tire him out. So, but I wanted 2 dogs. I wanted Porter, and I wanted Stout. I want to get another dog, a black dog, and have him just call him Stout, because I think Porter and Stout, that's what I do mostly here at the brewery.
Right.
I think that'd be awesome to have 2 dogs like that. So,
all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like all good superhero movies, they all have like an awesome origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you as a brewer, what is your origin story? Like, you did say you did corrections, but what got you from being a mild-mannered corrections officer to finally like where you are today? And how long has this brewery's been open for?
So, I'll answer we opened in 2017. Well, sorry, no, 2018 we opened our doors. We took the lease over for the building in 2017.
Okay.
And then we did build out for almost a year, and then opened in 2018, April of 18. So we're coming up on 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
I established the business in 2016, which was being right out of my garage. I brewed everything in my garage, had a farm brewing license, and just produced it and sold it at farmers markets or local stores that would take it, which was pretty good. It moved pretty good. Got a good base of customers behind me. So when I opened up this place, those customers followed me into here, which was cool.
It's almost like, like when you hear about like people like Rudy Ray Moore, who sold records out of the back of his car. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to sell this beer out of my garage. It's an awesome story.
Yeah, I kind of got the idea and the concept of selling out of my garage to test the waters before I left my career or my job for it. From another brewery, actually, right here in the Hudson Valley. It's a Sloop Brewing Company.
Oh, I've been there.
Where they started. They started out of their garage and selling at farmers markets.
Wow.
And I saw how they did it, and I tried to kind of model some things off of how they went. They're a big IPA forward brewery, whereas I'm a big stout, porter, wee heavy, Belgian beers. That's kind of what I push towards.
I liked your Belgian beer, by the way, that I had when I was here.
Awesome.
I forgot what it was called, but it was
the Cobblestone Stomper.
Yes.
I actually have a bourbon barrel-aged version of it on tap right now.
I loved that beer. That was awesome, dude.
Awesome.
It was really good.
I'm glad you
I was kind of sad when I finished the last can. I was like, oh, man, should I wait to hold this can? Yeah.
I got a couple bottles of the barrel version. I'll have to give
definitely.
you for your ride home. Well, not for your ride home, but when you get home.
Right, I know. Yeah, definitely.
But the origin of how this started?
Yes, sir.
So that was, like I said, I just loved going to breweries and checking breweries out. And one of my more fun tours was at Trogs Brothers in Pennsylvania, right outside of Hershey. And it was over an hour-long tour. They give you a 16-ounce pint glass, and you walked around, and they just poured beers off of their bright tanks for you.
What?
And my wife doesn't drink beer, so I had her glass and my glass. And the best part about it is they had one of my favorite beers on tap at the time, and it was the Nugget Nectar.
Okay.
And I got a pour of that right off of their bright tank. And it was just a surreal experience. And that's when I was like, all right, I got to do something in the brewing world. My brother bought me a little homebrew kit, and I was actually out on injury from corrections.
Right.
And I had about 5, almost 6 months off. So
Jesus.
I decided I would get into brewing, and that's where I started home brewing at home because I had nothing else to do. I couldn't go out and do things, so I just stayed home and brewed beer and kind of honed in on what I'd like to do and made some really bad batches of beer, made some really good batches of beer.
I've made some bad batches, too.
Oh, yeah, I still do. It happens.
Yeah. I've made bad batches that other people loved, which I thought was weird.
Oh,
like my first experiment with glucose, not glucose, lactose.
Okay.
So, if anybody doesn't know, lactose is like, basically the milk sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I used lactose in the beer, and it made like a kind of like a stout. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't stand it. I was like, fuck, and I have like 5 gallons of this crap. And I'm like, well, it's still beer. I'm still going to drink it.
Yeah, you don't want to just throw it away.
And I gave it away to some friends. They're like, that was amazing. I love that. I was like, What? So everybody's taste buds, they vary so much.
It's crazy to see when people come